Good morning.
Hello.
I'm so glad we have y'all's videos on. Makes it so much more fun for us to see your faces and not feel like we're talking to ourselves.
Is this the same class from the 23rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well then I don't need to be in that one, this one, because I was there on the 23rd.
Okay.
All right, thanks. All right.
It was good to see you this morning.
You too. Have a good day, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Maybe I don't want it that way. I'll still try to figure out the best layout.
Maybe that one. If it would do like it was supposed to.
I don't know. It's not. I don't understand why.
No, I made sure yesterday I had all that stuff installed on mine.
Okay, so we're going to get started in just a little bit. But as you're waiting, we're going to see if anybody else pops in. First off, good morning. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lindsay Smolik. I'm the Digital Learning Coordinator, and this is Talisha Wolf. She is the Digital Learning Specialist for the district. So we're going to help you through all of your Canvas needs and all of your, I guess, the technical term that everyone's using now is your synchronous and asynchronous learning. We'll help you through all of those tools, I guess I should say. Okay, so if you can just make sure that you are logged into Canvas, you don't have to be inside a specific course. You can, as long as you're on your Canvas dashboard, that's where we'll be starting this morning.
And I think all of them have beginner course, so they should be.
Okay.
I think they should have it. The start a course button.
All right. Well, and it is 10:05, so I'm going to go ahead and get started since I tend to talk too much and go over the time that I need to. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Open window. I really want to be able to see it here.
That would help.
Okay. All right, so you should see my Canvas dashboard. Let me know if you're not seeing that on your monitor.
You know, put the chat in case there's any questions.
There we go. Okay, so before we even go into a course, what I would like for you to look at is your notifications and your profile settings. So to get to those, you should have a circle with, if you've uploaded an image, a profile picture, it'll be in that circle. If not, it may just be the little gray ghost man, and it should say account. So if you will click on that top, it's the very first icon, and the little sidebar should pop out. And you'll see notifications, profile, files, settings, all of those things. So we're going to start in the notifications. All right, and so this is the part that I usually start talking too much and I go over my time. So we're going to skim over this. I go into a little bit more detail in the presentation inside our Canvas course. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can go back to that, reference that later on. Your notifications, your preferences, this goes for all of your courses in Canvas. Most of the notifications will be as a teacher, you know, what you're going to be notified for if these things are included in your Canvas course. So some that you may want to double check would be like your announcements settings. The check mark means that you're going to be notified right away with any information regarding these different topics. The clock means that you're going to get a daily summary. So like at the end of the day, it'll send you a summary of maybe all of the announcements that were posted in a specific course. The calendar means each week you would get a summary, so only once a week. And then the X means you would not get any notification for that topic. One thing to remember is that not only are you able to change your notification preferences, your students are too. They are able to change theirs. So you might want to double check with your students that at least, the announcements, maybe any type of communication like conversations or discussions, they may want to make sure they have those on as right away, be notified right away, so that they're getting all of the information that you may be sending out to them. Especially to me, announcements is the most one that they really need to be notified right away. And they are set whenever they first start using Canvas. There are some default settings, and I actually don't remember what yours are set to right now on default. And we can go back and check on that later on if you need us to. But if you want to update your settings, this is where you would do that. So you'll see I have several of them that I have marked to not be notified at all. And those are mostly the ones that would be created by me. So I don't need to be notified if I created something. Hopefully I'll remember that I created it. But I do have all of the ones like announcements or comments that would be coming from students in my class. I have those set to right away. And then I have several that would be a daily or a weekly summary. If you don't update these, anytime your students start submitting assignments or post a comment in a discussion, it will notify you, and it's going to notify you in Canvas, and it will also send you an email. So your emails your inboxes will start filling up pretty quick if you don't change some of those settings. And you can always test them out, and if you think you're being notified too often on certain things, you can go back and adjust these throughout your course. So it's not a big deal if you decide to change your mind. So that is where you would find your notification preferences. For profile, there's not this one's fine. Okay, so this would be where you would change your profile picture. For this school year, we are wanting everyone to post a profile picture of yourself. I know it can be fun to use like a Bitmoji or like a little cartoon character or something like that for your profile picture. But in the circumstances that we're in right now, we really prefer that you use a real picture of yourself. It doesn't have to be a professional school picture. It could be a quick little snapshot that you take on your webcam, but something that your students and the parents of your students would be able to see your face and put your face with your name. And, in the chance that they weren't able to meet you face to face right away, that would be one way that they could at least put a face with the name and feel that they have a little bit of a connection with you. You can add, if you have other ways that you would like for them to contact you other than through the Canvas course, you could add that here. Maybe it's a class or your school phone number or an email address, something like that. You could add in the contact area. You could add a little biography. The links section would be if you've got maybe a class web page or a Twitter feed that you want them to follow you on for the course. You could add that in the links. But those are all optional. We just will need to upload some form of a profile picture. Files, we don't do a whole lot with. This is as you start adding things to your courses. Any file that you upload from all of the courses that you are an owner of would be found in that file section. You can also get to files for each specific course in those course settings. Okay, now, there are a few things that you can update in your settings. We ask that you don't do a whole lot of editing here because a lot of this information comes directly from Skyward, and it is what connects you to your students. So if we start messing around and changing a lot of these settings, it could disconnect you from the Skyward upload, and then you won't have that automatic rostering. And if a new student comes in or a student leaves, it wouldn't automatically update. So we do ask that you are very careful not to edit these settings. I don't really actually think. may not be a whole lot in here that you even need to. The settings that your students will see, because they also have this account profile up here on their dashboard. If you notice this pair with the observer, once we open up the parent portal this year, this will be where those parents will need to have what's called a pairing code. And each of your students will have their own special code that their parents will use to connect to their account. So once parents connect with their students, the student can give them that pairing code, and there is a place for teachers to also share those pairing codes with parents. But the parent would only be able to see things for their student. They would not see other students in the course. They don't see names. They don't see as much as their student sees, but they do have the ability to see when assignments are due or any calendar events, as well as grades and announcements. So if you post an announcement in your course, maybe you have an upcoming project that your students have due, or a field trip or something in that manner, if you posted that in an announcement, as long as the parent is paired up with their student, they would also receive that same announcement. So it's a great way to use parent-teacher communication. The last thing that we're going to look at in your settings is this shared content. In Canvas courses, if you have something, and I'm not going to have anything showing in mine, but if you have an assignment or a page or discussion board, anything that's created or added to your course, you can actually share with the other teachers on your campus. Maybe you've got a team of teachers that you're working with and they really like an assignment that you created or an activity. You could actually share that directly with the teacher, and then they could add it to their course. So to do that, you'll see how to share that later on. But if someone shares something with you, you would find it here in this shared content. So you have a little list going here, and then you would have the ability to choose what course you would want to add that content to. That is a brief overview of the account settings. You'll also see on your dashboard, we'll go back to dashboard. These are called your course cards. So any course that you're either a student or a teacher of will show up on a course card. If you are missing a card that you could have access to, we had someone earlier this week that didn't have an EISD Summer Learning course, and then all of a sudden it disappeared and they couldn't find it on their dashboard. Your dashboard only holds up to, is it 20 courses at a time. So if you happen to have courses that are still listed last year and you haven't concluded those courses yet, and they're showing up, as you continue to either create or join courses, they may not be visible to you right away. But we can go in and find those. I'll tell you in just a second where to go to find those courses. Now, as you can see on my dashboard, my course cards may look nice and bright compared to what yours look like. Yours should. Sorry, Amy. There we go. Okay, on your dashboard, it may have this color overlay on your course cards, where it has kind of like a little film over them to make them not so bright. Now, I didn't understand why this was even an option, because I think it looks much cuter when they're bright and colorful. But then I just recently learned this past weekend, that is for those parents or students who they have maybe several courses that they're a part of, or a parent that's got multiple students in multiple courses in the district. And they see their dashboard will have all of those course cards just like ours do, but they may have different graphics that are bright and colorful, and it's kind of overwhelming to look at when they've got a dashboard full of courses. So if they have that color overlay, it just kind of dulls it down a little bit and doesn't make it so overwhelming. But you can choose how you want your dashboard to look. We recommend the card view. List view to me is just a little bit harder to navigate, along with recent activity. I don't like that view, but if it works for you, you're more than welcome to change the way your dashboard looks. But I do remove the color overlay. Okay, and if you have created a course already, you'll know that each course is automatically given a color If you haven't added a graphic, even once if you add a course card or course image here, the title of your course and this little circle button will be a specific color. You can adjust that. If it's a color, like I really don't like this yellow-brown color, I could come in here and click these 3 dots and choose a different color, and it'll change it for me. Another thing that you can do when you are either joining courses or you create courses, any new or the newest courses just default to the bottom, and the older courses are normally at the top. So if you want to rearrange your course cards, let's say you teach 7 class periods a day and you want them to go in the order of your day versus just kind of being in there in random order, if you click on the course card and drag it, you can move your course around to the order that you would want them to be viewable for you. Those of you that taught during distance learning and using Canvas, you may see that it looks a little bit different now. The way they have updated the dashboard, all of your published courses, whether it's a course that you're a student or a teacher of, if it is a published course, it's up here at the top. But if you scroll down, any unpublished courses that you may be kind of playing around in or you just haven't quite published them yet will be down at the bottom of your dashboard, and they'll have this publish button here for you just to help remind you to publish your course. So if you don't see it at the top of your dashboard, you may want to scroll down. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you where to find courses that may be missing from your dashboard. So if you go over underneath dashboard right here to courses and click here, it'll show you just a list view of what your dashboard has access to right now. If you scroll down, you'll see this all courses. And once you click this, if you have a course that is not showing on your dashboard that you want to show on your dashboard, if you click the star next to it, it will add it to your dashboard. If it is on your dashboard and it's not a course that you go to very often and you would like to still have access to it, but not have it listed on your dashboard, if you star the course, it'll take it off of your dashboard, and then you can just access it in your course list. Okay, so that's the main thing on courses. Okay, and then I misspoke. I kept saying create a new course, that you should have a create a new course button when you're creating a sandbox course. It's actually start a new course. That's the same thing. So when you click start a new course, that is actually you creating a new course. And if you don't see this button on the right side of your screen, it could be due to the size of the screen that you're working on, and it may be located at the bottom of your dashboard. So if I make my screen smaller, let's see if that will do it.
I'm going to make it really, really.
There it goes. So it should be down there. Yeah. Okay, so you'll see as I made my screen size smaller, I have to scroll down now, and everything that was on the right-hand side of my screen is now at the bottom. So if you don't see it on the right, scroll down, and it should be down here for you. I just prefer it on the right side.
Mm-hmm. It's right there.
Yep. Okay, so we have one more task that we need to do to get us ready for the next session, and that is to create our sandbox course. So to do that, you will just click this Start a New Course, and it's going to ask you to create a course name. As we're creating these sandbox courses, we're asking that you use your last name and the year, so that if you need us to help you with content inside of your course as you're kind of learning, we can find your course easily because it will have your last name attached to the title. So we're going to name this using our last name, Sandbox. And by the way, Sandbox courses are just practice courses. No one will be able to see this course. Even if you published this course if you don't add them to your course as a student or as a co-teacher, they don't have access to anything that you have published. So don't, feel free to do whatever you want to do in this course. And then we're going to put the year. And then we'll just click Create Course. And then it will automatically open that new course that you just created. Now, for the Canvas assignment for this module, we ask you to go in and look at your navigation menu. So when, to get to your navigation menu, in your new course that you just started, you'll go to the settings. It should be the very last option on your navigation menu here on the left. So click on settings. And notice I haven't created anything in this course yet. There's no content here, but I can actually change what this menu looks like. And actually, I'm going to show you something real quick. You can stay in settings if you've gone there already. But I want to show you, if I don't do any changes or any customizations to my navigation menu and I just leave it the way it is, my students, if I click on Student View, they're going to see anything that or they're going to see everything that they have content built into. So notice they're not seeing modules or pages yet, even though I didn't change my navigation menu. They're not seeing those yet because we haven't published any modules or pages. As soon as we publish those, they would show up as an option over here. But you may not need your students to have access to collaborations, or we're not using the conferencing piece, so they wouldn't need to have conferences. So our suggestion is to remove anything that you don't need them to be able to access from the navigation menu, just because it removes those extra distractions. It's a few less things that they have an option to click on. Let me go back to our teacher view, and we'll show you how to change those navigation settings. So again, I went to the settings in my course. This is also where you could choose an image for your course card. Whatever you choose here would be the image that would show up on your student's dashboard as your course image. So again, you just want to make sure it's something school appropriate. We can't change the name of our course because that is tied to Skyward. Once you're using your rostered courses, but we can create a graphic to go in as our course image that would have like your name or your grade level, maybe the class period that they're in for you. So if you had, your students, your second period class, you could create a graphic and in here have it say Ms. Smolik's second period class, or history second period, or whatever would just help your students see what course that card belongs to. Because I know sometimes those course titles that come in from Skyward they're really long, and it may not make a whole lot of sense, especially to our younger students. They may not be able to tell right away what the name of that course is, especially if they have more than one. So that would be my suggestion, was to create some type of a graphic that would tell them what course they're clicking on.
Lindsay.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you show us how to put that image in there? I put one in there, but it took me a long time to get it just right.
Yes, and I'll actually share a little a cheat sheet that will show the different dimensions to choose from.
Okay.
When we're creating those graphics. I think Talisha and I both use the same type of, I create most of my graphics for those, course cards or any graphic I have in my course using Google Slides, because you can do a page setup and change it to the specific dimensions that you need to make it fit in that square or rectangle.
Perfect. Thank you.
We'll share that with y'all too. But you can also, if you click on choose image, you can either upload an image that you create, or if you go to this Unsplash, this is actually a free site that has royalty-free images. So there's no copyright issues if you decide to use them. And you could type in, let me say, just classroom. Shouldn't pull up anything too inappropriate. Here we go. And so if you choose one of these images, and there's tons of them, there's tons of options here. If you choose one, it will actually already be the correct dimensions for you. So you won't have to go in and download anything or resize it. If all you have to do is click on the image you want. So let's say I want this one at the colored pencils, and you'll see it automatically goes directly into that course card. Now, the only downside to using that is that you wouldn't have the option then to go in and add any text to that course card. But I mean, that's, if you're fine with just the graphic, then you can just use that image there instead of just having that plain color course card on your dashboard. Then you won't have to worry about any of these settings unless you are creating a manually created course, which is what we're doing in a sandbox. And really the only time that you run into that would be if you're creating a course that is for students that are not rostered to you in Skyward. So let's say you're part of, you're the coach of a UIL team, and you want to have a Canvas course so that you can communicate with the students on your UIL team. That would obviously not have a roster for you in Skyward. So you could create a course and add those students to your course. And then you could change some of these settings if you wanted to, because it's not going to be tied to Skyward in any way. And one of those settings that you might be interested in would be to create a start and an end date for your course, and then choosing that students can only participate in your course between those two dates. So that way you could go ahead and publish whatever you wanted in your course, but if it is before the start date, even though you've published it and your students are added, they wouldn't have access to that course until that start date. And then same thing for the end date. It would automatically be removed from their dashboard at the date that you choose. Really, that's about all that you might use here. If you are creating a course to use with students that aren't on a roster, you may want to, especially if they're older students, you may want to have them, or if you've got multiple students you need to have in the course and it's just unfeasible for you to go in and manually add each student, you may want to let them self-enroll. So you could click this box and it will actually generate a URL code for them that you could share that link with them and they could join that way. And that is what I did for this course, actually. The link that you clicked on, it was created because I chose this self-enrollment of the secret URL code. And then I also clicked the next box, which is add a join this course button to the home page. That way, when they click on that URL, they would then just click join course. Again, you don't have to worry about this if you're not creating courses that aren't rostered to you, because all of those, the students will automatically be in your course. The last thing that we'll look at is, I guess we have to look at navigation still.
Navigation.
Right now, we have the default at 3 announcements that get shown on your homepage at a time. You can change that. There we go. You would have to click the Show Recent Announcements on the course homepage. That way, any announcement that you create that you want your students to see would show up on the homepage. Like right now, we have that one announcement that I sent out in our summer learning course showing. I haven't added any additional announcements, but if I have up to 2 more that I could add to show at one time on your homepage. You can change that default number. I don't suggest going any higher than 3 because you don't want a whole list of announcements showing up on the homepage for your kids. Really, announcements to me should be used for important information or like quick little information to send out. So we don't need to, I wouldn't think you would need 15 announcements showing on one homepage at a time. That is also something that you can update. So any changes that you make to your settings, you just click this update course for them to take effect. And then it will give you the little green check bar up here at the top that'll tell you that it was updated. Okay, so let's look at the navigation menu so that we can see what we want you to do in the assignment for this Canvas course. So in your settings, you'll see you've got 5 tabs here at the top. We're going to click on navigation. So as you can see, the default is that your students would have all of these options available to them on their navigation menu. granted that you had some type of content inside each of these. So for me, I think less is more. And so I get rid of anything that my students don't need access to. And this can always be updated later on. So especially at the beginning of the year, for students who may not be as familiar with Canvas, I try to get rid of everything that I am not going to use at the beginning of the year, because we can always go back, and as we start using extra tools in Canvas, we can add those in later. So I go in and I remove people. That way you can take the people off. If your students click on people, they'll be able to see everyone that's enrolled in that course. And so you may or may not want them to have that access. Let's see, we're going to leave discussions, grades, pages. I'm going to take files off just because I don't think my students need that. I'm not going to use collaborations or conferences. So notice, to update my navigation menu, I'm clicking and I'm dragging it below where it says drag items here, and then just letting my mouse go, and it drops it there. I'm not going to take attendance in my Canvas course. I'm going to move that down. I don't want them leaving Canvas and going to the EISD homepage. I don't want chat. We actually have chat disabled for the district anyway, so we don't have to worry about students going in and having little chat sessions with anyone in your course. I'm not real sure why it shows up there. It shows up for us, but from what I'm told, it shouldn't show up on the student page anyway. But I just drag it down just to be safe. Now, not only can you disable these tools for now, you can actually rearrange your menu too. So I like to have modules right underneath announcements, because I feel like, home is going to be a button they're going to click pretty often. You're going to want them to have access to announcements. The next most common tool would be modules. So I like to have that up at the top. And then one thing that we'll get into a little bit later on in some of the other sessions, it can be confusing if you're just getting used to Canvas, but we create everything in modules. And we're going to talk more about that in the next session. But modules house your pages, your discussions, your quizzes. All of these different tools that are listed here are actually part of your modules. So as long as you have modules available for your students to click on, you can actually take assignments out, discussions out, pages out, and they can still get to those items if they're created inside a module. They'll still have access to them. They just won't have to go and click on, if they click on pages in their navigation menu, it will show you all of the pages in that course. So that can be a little confusing. And we'll talk about that more in this next session too. Make sure once you update your navigation menu, you click Save. And you'll notice everything that you dragged below that line now has this slashed eyeball icon here. That means you can still see it on your menu, but if it is showing like this, that means your students can't see it. So to prove that, if I go to Student View again, notice their navigation menu just got a lot smaller. Now, remember, we had announcements and modules selected for them to be able to view, but since I haven't created an announcement or a module, it's not going to show up on their navigation menu until there's actual content for them to see there. I'm going to go back to Teacher View. Okay, so for the assignment in Canvas, for this module, what we're asking you to do is, once you've selected or you've moved some things around in your navigation menu for your course, we want you to take a screenshot of your new navigation menu. So you should have some things pulled down here. And then you would submit that screenshot as your assignment. If you're not sure how to take a screenshot on a Chromebook, if that's what you're using, Technology Department has actually pushed out an extension that will take a screenshot for you. And I had them push out the one that I use so that it would be one uniform extension that I would know exactly which one you were using and how to help you with it. If you have a different way of taking a screenshot, you're more than welcome to use that. I just wanted one uniform way of teaching everyone how to take a screenshot with their Chromebook. So If you need help taking that screenshot of your menu, you're looking for an extension at the top of your Chrome browser that looks like a photograph. And if you hover over it, it should say explain and send screenshots. And this should have just been pushed out to your Chrome browser recently, so it may be at the far right side of your browser. I've just had mine forever, so it shows up closer to my Omnibox.
Mhm.
Such a fancy word for a URL box, is what I would call it. Okay, so once you have found that extension, if you just clicked on it, you'll have options to either select the area, which means you can drag and drop like you use that snippet tool on your desktop at work, or you can just choose visible page. And if you click that, it just takes a picture of the page that you have open. So you can use some of these annotation tools. And the one that you'll see me use quite a bit is like one of these circles or a square, maybe the arrow. And you can choose a color that would draw people's attention to it. So anything that you've seen me send out in a screenshot where I'm showing you, like let's say I want to show you how to find student view. If I choose one of these options here, I can draw a little circle around it or an arrow. Once you have the screenshot the way you want it, you can click done and download, and it will save that to your device. So if you're on a Windows, it would save it to your files, like one of your drives. On a Chromebook, there's an actual files folder in the what's the little circle called on Chromebook? I can't think of it now. Launcher, the app launcher.
Yes.
You would find it where you find your apps on your Chromebook. That is where your files are also stored. And so then you would just add that to the assignment in Canvas and submit it. So we were just looking to see that you've updated your navigation menu. Remember, it doesn't have to be exactly what you're going to use this school year. It's just for us to see that you know how to rearrange this menu. Okay, so let me go back to my course.
Lindsay, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
So I see where it says settings under my account. I'm trying to get to the navigation menu, and it's kind of hard sometimes to see on my laptop all of your screen. So you go to your picture and then settings.
I'm
trying to get to the navigation menu.
Yes, for the navigation menu for your course, you're actually going to use the settings button inside your course, not the settings.
So I need to make a sandbox.
Yes.
Oh, super.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that can be kind of confusing. You have the settings in your account profile are the settings for your entire Canvas account. The settings inside of your course only apply to that course. So if you like the way that you set up your navigation menu in this course, then you would want to do that in your other courses also. It won't update all of your courses at one time. Okay, and before we move on to the module session, I do want to show you one thing. If you work with a team of teachers and you all teach the same kids, if you have teachers that might need access to your Canvas course so that they could also interact with those students, right above settings is the button for people. Well, it is in mine because I just rearranged my navigation menu. But this people tab, when you click on it, right now, if you've created a sandbox, it should just have you listed as a person in your course. If you click this plus people over at the right-hand side, I leave it defaulted to email address, but let's say Talisha and I are teaching the same students and I need her to be able to be part of my course. I just type in her email address. And then I can decide if she's participating as a student, I could leave it defaulted to the student role. If I want her to have access, to have teacher access, I would click the down arrow and choose teacher. So if you've got a para that works in your class with you and they're going to be doing some interaction or maybe helping you view discussion boards or things like that, you would might want to add them as a teacher to your course as well. And then you would just click next and add user. And it will send an email to that teacher that you've added. You do the same process if you're going to manually add a student. If it's a course that's not rostered and you need to add a student that way real quick, it will also send them a notification that they have been added. They'll also see this if they don't check their email. When they log into Canvas, it will have a little alert at the top of their dashboard saying that they've been invited to a course, and they have the option to join directly inside of Canvas as well. Okay, that was a lot of information.
And Ms. Fields, the answer to your question is yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And one thing about Canvas, and as you know now, since you're a student in the course that Felicia and I are working in now as teachers, you can have the role as a teacher and as a student inside of Canvas.
And I actually do.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a student in some courses as well as a teacher in others. So that is actually where some of the issues have come in. If you didn't have that start a new course button, it was probably because you joined a course as a student before you ever were either assigned a course in Skyward that came over, or before you ever created a new course yourself. And so Canvas just viewed you as a student instead of a teacher. So we just switched you over real quick so that you have both roles now. Okay. I know that was jam-packed full of information. Are there any questions so far about settings or the navigation menu or how to create a course? Is that all? I mean, I know it's a little overwhelming right now, but I promise all of this is inside of that presentation link as well, inside of Canvas. So as you know, if you need to go back later and kind of review it before you submit the assignment, it shows a little, I think it's a little video too, maybe, of how to take that screenshot and send it in.
Yes, you do have that on there.
Okay.
Okay, so I do have a real quick question.
Okay.
So when we go back, like if you teach multiple subjects, will you have a course card for each subject, or just one main course card and then a home page for each subject? How does that work?
You will have, for any course that you are rostered to, or you have a roster for inside of Skyward, it does automatically create a course for each subject area. Now, that is why for distance learning, like for kinder through 6th grade, we chose to just go with homeroom, so that for one, it wasn't overwhelming for teachers to have to go to each individual course to create content. And another, it wasn't overwhelming for parents and kids to know to go to each individual course. There is a way that you could choose your homeroom course card, and you could actually link your different content areas inside that one course so that they're not going to each individual course. It's set up that way mainly because of, once you get to secondary, they have to have a different course card for each course, because more than likely it's going to be other teachers. It's not going to be the same teacher for each course. Elementary, there's some ways that we can work around to where they're not seeing 4 different courses inside of their Canvas course. Okay. Are we good on the other settings and the assignment inside of Canvas for this module? Okay. So we're going to stay inside of this course. If you didn't create a course just now, you'll want to go ahead and do that real quick. Go to your dashboard and then click the Start a New Course button. And like I said, it's either going to show up on the right-hand side of your screen or down at the very bottom, depending on the size of your screen. Oh, I need to go to my other. I have so many sandboxes in here. Okay. And notice the course that you're creating right now, unless you have already published it, it's going to show up as the last course card on your dashboard. I'm going to click on that. Okay. So we haven't created anything in it. So this is what your course looks like before you add any content. Let me take that off. A module inside a Canvas course. The best way for me to describe what a module is I think of it as a folder. So I would compare it to like your Google Drive is all of your documents inside of Google or that are created with the Google app. Your module is similar to like a Google folder inside your Google Drive. So think of Google Drive as your Canvas course. It's the whole shell. A module is just a folder inside of your course. So modules are used as a way to organize your course and to help make kind of like a path for your students to follow to get to their content. There's several different ways you can set up your modules. I know for distance learning, most of us used each module was the week of content. So we had like a week 1 of distance learning, and you had the dates there as the title of the module. And then inside that module, you had your lesson or your content there. You could have had a second module for week 2 and just kept going that way. Some teachers like to have each day of the week, especially if they have multiple content areas and they teach the same students. They could have their first module maybe Monday. And inside of that module, maybe they have all subject area activities or assignments that the students would need to complete for Monday. You could have Tuesday as module 2 and have all of the subject areas inside of Tuesday that they need to complete. There's tons of different templates that you can choose from. And if you go back to the presentation piece for this module, it'll show you some examples of some different templates that you could use. For us, we're just going to click on create a new module. And when I do that, it's going to ask me to name my module. So I'm just going to go with week 1. I do suggest that you put the dates because as you know, with distance learning, those weeks start to kind of run together. And it's hard to remember what week we were in each Monday. So I always like to put the dates here. What was it? June 22nd through 26th. And if you notice this lock until, that means I can create my module and go ahead and publish it at once. But if I choose lock, that means I can set a date. And let's say I'm going to be out next week. Oops. I'm going to be out next week, but I want them to go ahead and I want to have all of my stuff ready to go for my kids so I don't have to remember to log in and publish it. I could go ahead and say, okay, on June 29th, I want my students to have access to this module. So I'm going to click on the date that I want. You can even be as specific as, a certain time. So if this class doesn't start until 1:05 on June 29th, you could do June 29th at 1:05. It would become live for them and they would have access. You just click done and add module. So even though I chose for it to be locked, you'll see here it says will unlock on June 29th I have it at 12 a.m. But I can go ahead and now I could publish this module. I could add all of my content to this module, but my students still won't see that content until June 29th at 12 a.m. But for the teacher side of it, I'm done with it. If I publish it, it's ready to go. So inside a module, hopefully it's kind of starting to look a little bit familiar to you. This is what you should have seen during distance learning. And we clicked this plus sign on the right side of the module box. And this is where you can choose to create the content that will go inside of that module. Most of us for distance learning use the page tool. The page tool is great for when we're delivering content, like just the actual lesson itself, or maybe an article or a video that we want them to watch. You would use Page to deliver content that you don't actually want them to work with and submit back to you. In the Page tool, there's not a way for them to submit an assignment back to you. If you want them to actually send you or answer questions and send those back, you would need to use the assignment tool. So we're going to start with, since it defaults, we're going to start with assignment. So you'll see assignment in my add box. And then in this text box here, you'll want to click new assignment. So it'll highlight it blue. And then I need to create a name. So we're just going to say week 1 assignment. You can choose if you want it to indent inside of the module. So I'll just choose one level for this. And I'm going to click Add Item. Now notice it doesn't take you directly to that assignment to where you could actually create the content for that assignment, but you see it now listed in your module. When you're ready to add content to it, you would then click it in underneath your module title and click Edit. Once you click Edit, it'll bring up your text box to where you can add whatever, if you need to add your directions to the assignment here, or if there's something that they need to view before actually working the assignment, you could add that here as well. And then you would choose you would set up your actual assignment. I'm not going to get into this piece yet because we do have an actual module that will cover assignments for you, and it'll show you exactly how to create different types of assignments. So for now, I'm just going to click Save. Go back to modules. Okay, so in the assignment in the Canvas course for this module, you'll notice it's asking you to create an assignment shell, a page shell, a quiz shell, and a discussion shell. Now notice we put the word shell there. This right here is what is considered a shell of an assignment, meaning you've created an assignment, you've added it to that module, but you don't have to add content to that. It doesn't have to be a ready-made assignment that would go out to your students. You don't have to add any directions. You don't have to add anything to it. We just want to see that you know how to create this part of the assignment, meaning everything else inside it can be completely blank. We're just going to look for modules and that you have it listed here. That's all we need to see for that. So that's your assignment shell. Now we are ready to add a page, and we're staying in this same module. So I'm going to click the plus sign again, and I'm going to choose Page, New Page, and then I need to give it a name. And we're going to keep it at indent one level, Add Item. So again, this is now my shell page, or page shell, talking backwards. I did not add any content to this page, but I now have a shell is like a template. It's ready to go. All I need to go do now is add what I want my students to see on that page. You don't have to do that piece for this assignment in this module. We're just checking to see that you know how to add items to your module. Okay, so then the next one, we're going to add a discussion. I'm going to choose discussion. And now it says new topic. And what do I want my topic for my discussion to be? I don't know. So we're just going to put week 1 discussion. Oops, if I spell it right. Discussion. I think that looks right. And just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to change this one to indent 2 levels. And click Add Item. And just notice it just pushes it, indents it just a little bit further in. Just gives it a little different view for your students. You could also choose to not indent any of these, and it would just line up directly underneath your module. So this would be considered your discussion shell. Notice I did not create an actual topic that I want them to respond to, but I have it ready to go once I get to that piece. The last thing that we ask you to create for this assignment is a quiz. So you click this plus sign again, click in this add box. I'm going to choose quiz this time. New quiz. So here I'm going to name it week 1 quiz. You will want to make sure that you have, or I think this one is grouped under assignments. Oh, it's discussion. I was thinking. We talk about discussion later, right? Mm-hmm. Under communications. Okay. There is a way that you'll want to create your discussions if you use that piece with your class to where it's marked as a graded assignment so that it will keep track of any time that your students post a comment inside of the discussion. That way you're not having to actually search all of those discussion replies to find out which students responded and which ones didn't. It'll show up in the gradebook piece. But we'll get into that in that communications module. Okay, since this is the quiz, I'm just going to choose to indent it 3 levels just to kind of draw a little bit more attention to it for my students. And I'll just click Add Item. So you'll see it's, indented just a little bit more. So for your Canvas assignment for this module that you would turn in to get credit for this module, this is what we're looking for. Notice we didn't spend time creating anything, any type of actual assignment. We just created the shell for the assignment, the shell for the page, shell for the discussion, and shell for the quiz. So for this assignment piece, you would just have have your module open, make sure that we can see each of these items, just like this, and then take your screenshot here. This time I'm going to show you how to use the select area. I click this option. Notice my screen gets a little bit darker, and it's telling me to click and drag. This may look very similar to that snippet tool on your desktop in your classroom. So now I just click and I drag around what I want my screenshot to show. When I let go, it'll open up that new tab with my screenshot. So then I would just click Done, Download. And one thing that we didn't look at was actually how to submit those screenshots. I don't know if you've had to submit a screenshot yet. So let me show you that piece real quick. Forgot I moved around my course cards. Now I'm going to go to student view so it looks just like what you see. Okay, so I'm going to click on Module 4. Like that. It's going slow today. Okay, so again, this is the little presentation that'll walk you through each of those things we just talked about. Click Next again. Okay, so you'll see that this is the assignment that we asked you to do, create those shells inside of a module and then submit your screenshot. So to do that, you're going to click this blue Submit Assignment button. It doesn't look like much has changed, but if you look down here at the bottom, now you have all of these options of submitting your work. So I'm going to choose, I think we could choose file here and just upload that screenshot, or you can even choose this text entry option and you can add your screenshot to your text entry here. To add it here, you're going to click the 3 dots and you'll see the little picture icon. And I want to upload an image. If you click this, just like in Google Drive, it'll open up your files on your device. Or if you have it downloaded still, you can just click and drag it up. Maybe. Is it going? My computer's just going really slow.
Not what to do.
Yeah. I think this one was the screenshot I wanted. Yeah, there we go. So if this is the file that you want to upload, you just click Submit here at the bottom. Now, once you click Submit there, notice I still have this box pulled up and it still tells me to submit my assignment. That first submit was just you're submitting that upload into that box. Now, when I click Submit Assignment, you should get confetti, maybe. Thinking about it, there it goes. If the confetti shows up, that means it's successfully submitted, and you'll also see that quick little green check mark box pop up that says you have successfully submitted your assignment. And your blue button at the top right will change. Instead of saying Submit Assignment, it will say resubmit assignment. So if you accidentally submitted the wrong screenshot or you want to change it, you could actually click resubmit, and you can go through those steps again and submit what you would like. Once you're done with that, you just click next, and it will take you to the discussion board. And we did have some questions about this discussion prompt. What we mean by template, what template would you choose? We're just talking about the different types of modules that you could create. What would you want your layout to look like for your modules? Are you going to use weekly modules, daily modules? Are you going to use a module for each content that you teach for those for that class? It's completely up to you on how you decide to create your modules. And then once you are ready to answer that, you just click this reply. Here you can type in and just tell us what you want to use, what type of template you would use. You can take a screenshot of one you like, or maybe one you've created, and add that here. You can even, we haven't shown this yet.
No, we haven't.
You can actually reply using the media button. So if you don't feel like typing anything or talk, you just want to talk about it and tell us what you would do, you can actually submit your answer by clicking this record. And we're going to use the upload record media. If you have a file saved on your computer, again, you can drag it or choose it here, or you can record directly while you're doing your assignment. So you could do a webcam and a mic, or if you don't want your face to show, you can turn your webcam off to no video. And if you just leave your mic on, you can actually just record audio of you responding to the topic. And your students have this same option. So if you've got younger students who you don't think they're ready to type a lot of text or, take screenshots or things like that, they can actually respond to your discussions or to any assignment that you give them by either a video or just an audio response. So that's kind of cool. And they would just click start recording. And then you'll just record your audio or your video, click finish. They can give it a title like, week 1 discussion or whatever they want to do, and click save. And then if they click post reply, it will go to that discussion board prompt. Once you guys reply with your ideas on what you would use, then you will also have access to see how other people have responded to that discussion board. So you don't have to reply to anyone else, but it would be good to go in and kind of look and see what everyone else is thinking of using for their modules and see if you like their ideas better, or if they think of something that maybe you haven't thought of yet. I'm not going to reply to that because I will confuse a whole lot of people if they start seeing that discussion reply. But once you do that, submit your module screenshot and then reply to that discussion, then you've finished module 4. And then leave student. Do we have any questions about creating modules in your courses? It seemed pretty self-explanatory, most of that. And if you're feeling completely overwhelmed with Canvas right now, guys, don't stress, because we're going to go into each thing that you're going to use in Canvas this year. We're going to break each of those tools down and teach you about how to use that specific tool. And that will be in the entire module for this Canvas course. So don't stress that we're throwing a lot of information at you right now. And we will give you several different ways to use those tools, but you will have guidance on each one of these options inside of Canvas. So don't stress. We're all learning together. And for those of you that are ready to go and add more to your Canvas courses, we will be offering later on in the summer an optional Canvas course that you can join that will give you some kind of next level Canvas ideas and on ways to make it a little bit more interactive. And how to create, these really cool Bitmoji classrooms and things like that if you want to add a little spunk to your course. All right. Well, once again, I went over my time. May need to have Talisha start talking since I talk too much.
No, you're good.
Do you guys have any questions that you need help with, or anything in the Canvas course that doesn't make sense that you need us to help you walk through?
I do.
Okay.
But it's not on this one. It's on it's on the next one, the dynamics one.
Oh yeah,
Homepage.
that's when it starts getting fun.
Yeah, and I've watched the videos and I tried. I have a Bitmoji classroom and I added links to it and everything, but I can't get it to post on my Canvas correctly.
Okay.
So should I wait and just watch y'all's session next week, or?
Sure. Yes, you can do that. And actually, we're taking next week off since it's the 4th of July week.
Oh,
So
okay.
we won't have a Tuesday, Thursday. I think I won't be here at all. Talisha will still be in the office. So if you do need help with something, she's still available. Are you doing the office hours?
Yes.
Okay. So next Wednesday, she will have the virtual office hours, and you use that same link that you used to join this Google Meet to join there. That is from 10 to 11. You don't have to stay on the whole time. You don't have to join right at 10. What we do on Wednesdays is we just pull this Google Meet up and people can join throughout that hour. You know, if you have a quick question, but you can't get on until 10:45, we'll have it up and ready. We didn't yesterday because we lost our internet. The server went down.
Right at 10 o'clock.
Right at 10 o'clock. I was like, man, no one's joining. And then all of a sudden we realized we had no internet. So, yeah, so Talisha will be available, or you can, shoot her an email and give her a call, whatever you need. Or you can join us the following week. I think it's the 6th or 7th, whatever that Tuesday is, that first Tuesday in July, and we'll have the homepage sessions then.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other sessions? Questions? We good? Is the course seeming okay so far? Not too much? Okay, perfect. All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and sign off. If y'all have any needs from us, if you need any help, please don't let yourself get frustrated. Shoot us an email, give us a call. We're here to help. Don't try to figure it out on your own if it's making you lose your mind, okay? That's what we're here for. All right. Well, we'll see you guys. I won't see you next week, but I will see you the following week. So we'll talk to you soon. Bye.